Hey y'all, it's Nancy the Handy Scandy. Welcome back for another crafty venture. We are going to be making a Christmas card with more of a dark aesthetic. So we will be using the Seasons Creepings new stamp set, this paper pad called Chillin' Christmas, as well as the Joy word die. We'll be bringing in some other products as well. So I went through the paper pad and I've narrowed my selection down to these three options, but we'll go ahead and do a quick flip through. As you can see, it is a little bit dark both in terms of the coloring as well as the imagery and just the kind of feeling, the aesthetic that it has. Some pages are more creepy than others, but they are definitely all a little bit odd or strange, but I love them all. Again, I have narrowed it down to these three options, two of them with the black and white, but then this one with the green just really stood out to me. So I went through my specialty papers and I have this beautiful green mirror card. So that was why we chose the pattern paper that we chose. So I pulled out my card base and poured it in half. And then we have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. So I'm pulling out some other products and we will be going ahead and sizing things up to make sure everything's going to fit. And so I use my sprinkle scallop rectangle die to cut out the mirror card. And then I use this antique frames die to cut out the pattern paper, with the knowledge that you are still going to be able to see some of that mirror card underneath and behind the antique frame die. So as I'm looking at it, I realize that there is so much dark that nothing is standing out. So that's why I decided to make this little frame to just kind of create some texture and some separation, and again just some lightness so something else stands out to make the darker images pop. And then I thought, well, let's go ahead and make it into a shaker card. That was not my intent in the beginning. My intent was just to create a frame, which, by the way, I used the second largest and the third largest of these frames, and I kind of just laid them one inside the other, taped them down to the white cardstock, and ran it through the die cutting machine, and that gave me a little frame. When you lay your frames together, you want to make them as equidistant all the way around as possible, which can be the hardest part, to be fair. But I have learned along the way to not be quite so hard on myself, and if it looks okay, it's probably okay. So other people will just leave all of their dies hooked together so that they can get those frames. But then after a while, if you need each frame individually, you have to cut them apart. So with all of that being said, I used a little bit of liquid glue on the back of the frame, and I laid down some acetate and trimmed around the edges so that it fits that frame just perfectly. And now I have my double-sided foam tape folded over on itself so it's double width, and then I've laid it down around the frame, and now I'm coming in with my It's No Secret anti-static powder tool to wipe along those edges and hopefully deactivate some of that sticky around the edges. We want it to be sticky so that it sticks where it needs to, but we don't want all of our shaker bits sticking to the sides of the foam tape. So I come in with my little brush to wipe some of that excess away off of the acetate. Off screen, I also came in with a little bit of a tissue and wiped off some more of the powder residue off of the acetate. So I put down my different sprinkles onto my card base, because otherwise I'll never be able to lay this down properly, lining it up on my card base. But I have the green iridescent trees, as well as the steel sparkle gems and the iridescent emerald green confetti. Those are the bits that I created my mix with. And then I just wanted there to be some more lightness. So that's where that piece of lace came from, because I just wanted there to be a little bit more light. So then I stamped out the little skull image as well as the sentiment Seasons Creepings, and then I die cut them with my stitched circle dies. And now I'm using my OLOs, and mostly I'm using my clear blender pen. I'm picking up a little bit of the green off of the pen, brushing it off, and then just kind of smearing around the very, very light green across the skull. And then bringing in just a little bit of pink for the cheeks. Have my my white little paste that I'm creating the texture that would be the little furry bits on the hat. And then I went ahead and I stamped out these little candy canes. I used, I think it was Mowed Lawn Distress ink to stamp those out. And I adhered them down to my little Seasons Creepings circle word die, or a word die cut. And then I took that same marker that I colored my skull with, and I went around the edges of my circle for the sentiment. And now I'm adhering down the skull for the O in joy. And then I've layered up the J and the Y with some of the, what is that called? The mirror card, along with just some white cardstock. Again, adding more lightness where I can, because there's so much dark going on. So you need a little bit of light to make things pop. And then on the inside of the card, I rarely do the inside of the card, but I thought let's use some more of this pattern paper. So I layered some of that up on a piece of black cardstock, just cut them at an angle at the end, and then that's where I've layered my sentiment circle, as well as a piece of the mirror card. And then when I die cut everything out with the Joy word die set, it cut out the holly bits, as well as some stars and some snowflakes and some hearts. But I decided I would use those holly on the inside. And then I have the ornament topper right here that I'm lining up and adding a second layer of this white gel. And then I even come in with some sparkly, they're not stickles, they're, I can't remember what they're called, pops of color maybe, and I've got some sparkly in there. And you can just barely see it in the photos, but I mixed it in while they were both wet. And that is my finished card, y'all. Again, I did not intend for it to be a shaker card, but I am not mad about it. I know this dark Christmas aesthetic isn't for everybody, but I thank you guys for spending some time with me anyway. I hope you were able to glean something useful. Let me know what that might be, especially if this is just not your vibe. But in the meantime, go ahead and like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I'll talk to you downstairs in the comments. But more than that, I will be back very soon with another video. And until then, mwah, I'm out.